I will open the West Water Environmental Service Budget Committee meeting and on June 18th, June, excuse me, 4th, 2018. And start off with introductions. Go ahead.
My name is Ron Weigel, member of the unincorporated portion of Clackamas County and a Budget Committee member.
Paul Savas, Clackamas County Commissioner.
Ken Hubbardston, Clackamas County Commissioner, Vice Chair.
Mark Lee Drake, City Councilor, Happy Valley, member of the Budget Committee.
Jim Bernard, Clackamas County Chair.
Martha Schrader, Clackamas County Commissioner. Sonia Fisher, Clackamas County Commissioner.
Don Krupp, County Administrator.
Diane Padilla, Budget Manager.
All right, with that, we'll proceed to election of chair. Is there a nomination of a chair for the Budget Committee? For the Budget Committee for Water Environmental Service.
Yes, I would like to nominate Mark Lee Drake for chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second that we nominate Mark Lee Drake as chair of the West Budget Committee. Any further discussion or nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Turn this over to you.
Thank you. We'll now do nominations for secretary.
There's not a heck of a lot of you guys here, so.
So I'll nominate
Ron.
Ron Weigel.
But I'll second. Okay. I'll second. It's fine.
Second. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then, okay, so we get a budget presentation from Gregory Geist.
Thank you. My name is Greg Geist. I'm the Director of Water Environment Services. Thanks for being here today.
Greg, I got to start off with something though.
Sure.
We're asking that you spend half your time with your presentation and the last half for questions.
Okay, I can do that. I'll be quick. I just want to say thank you to this board of county commissioners and the previous board for the continued support of the 190 partnership, and we're seeing some of the fruits of those efforts today in the form of a single budget for water environment services. We took this to the budget committee. So the other positive aspect of this is that we formed a single advisory committee for the WES entity, and the budget committee members are a subset of that core advisory group. So no longer are we literally meeting once a year with our budget committee members. They are involved throughout the year. Lastly, I wanted to just mention that we did have a special meeting of the WES Advisory Committee on May 24th and presented the budget and happily received unanimous approval for the proposed budget. So with that, I will just get going. Just to review the mission and the vision of WES, I won't read that. Hopefully y'all know who we are and what we do. Moving on, this is our structure for WES, and this reflects the Performance Clackamas structure. This year we went from the blue boxes there, 15 different program areas down to 12. We're going to continue to refine that as we work through and with Performance Clackamas. I expect that we will quickly land on 10. We're going to collapse or combine another 4 into 2. So that's good. We're learning. Just looking at the 3-year trend, what I wanted to call out in this slide was the fact that 16-17 and 17-18, we were bringing in more revenue than we were spending, which is a good thing, because we anticipated that we're going to be spending a lot of money this year and in the subsequent years on our capital construction. So that's what you're seeing on the 18-19 proposed, a significant change in that. We're going to be burning through our construction funds on projects both at Kellogg and at the Tri-City wastewater treatment plant. And I don't know if I've shared with you folks, all of you, that we did get we opened bids on the solids handling project last week, and we went from what was originally kind of a $55 million project down to our estimate of $37 million, and the apparent low bidder last week was 33.5. So we're definitely going in the right direction. In case you're wondering, with the uncertainty around the tariffs on steel, The steel costs of that project are about 1%. So just want to allay any fears that we're going to have big cost overruns as a result of those types of tariffs. You'll see a huge jump in the revenue, projected revenue for 18-19. That is largely a anticipated $12 million loan from the state revolving fund. So that's why that jumped from 49.77 up to 64.39. We're anticipating that revenue. Anything to add, Doug?
No, I think, yeah, we've been saving money and now we're getting ready to spend it. That's basically the story here.
Was I gonna, no, I'll do this one. Just basically an overview of our resources and requirements. They match, thankfully. We have a big beginning fund balance this year, and our ending fund balance is going to be significantly less because we're going to be burning through those reserves. One thing I wanted to call attention to, I am requesting an additional 4 FTE in this budget. That will take our FTE count from 106 to 110. That's largely going to be focused in our operations area and maybe 1 or 2 towards our engineering group. We built the membrane bioreactor facility 5 years ago now, or longer. We did not add FTE to run that facility, so we've been kind of on a wing, not a wing and a prayer, but we've definitely been stretched thin. And in addition to asking for the additional FTE, you can see from this chart, we're actually, the increase to operations is over 7.5 FTE. So we're actually moving internal resources towards the operations side of the house in addition to asking for additional resources. This one's for you.
Okay. This is a breakout of our budget by line of business in relation to our Performance Clackamas strategic plan. Obviously, over half of what we do is our operations. It's the treatment of sanitary sewer and surface water resources that are the lion's share of what we do. Capital planning and management, though small, is big because it's going to spend those capital dollars that we've got. We've got $47 million worth of budgeted capital this year, so that'll be big. Environmental services, that's a lot of where our surface water and permitting activities are located. And business services includes the Office of the Director, a lot of administrative services, some things that are unique to West, such as our utility billing and our customer service functions, which we have, because we do bill all of our customers directly, and we don't rely on property taxes to fund any of our operations. Here's the thing probably everybody looks for is the summary of rate adjustments, and we are opting to adjust everything by 3.9%, which is the lower end of the brackets that was advised to us by the advisory committee. It is the Engineering News Record Construction Index Report, I believe is the full title of the index that we used. And it reflects the fact that a large part of what affects our costs are in the capital construction area. So everything's going up by 3.9% across the board, and you can see there what the differences are. It's 85 cents for the former Tri-City Service District, which was rate zone 1. It's $1.80 in the former Clackamas County Service District number 1 area, and 25 cents in the surface water area. And again, we are rolling on top of those where it is applicable, the right-of-way fee for Oregon City, for Gladstone, and for Happy Valley. Oregon City charges a 6% right-of-way fee. Gladstone charges a 5%, and Happy Valley charges a 5% right-of-way fee. So we're adding on an additional amount of rate that will provide the revenue necessary to pay that right-of-way fee so that the district is held harmless.
So these are just some examples of the performance measures that we're using under Performance Clackamas. I would say that this is a fairly rapidly evolving portion, thing that we're doing at WES. Greg Irely in operations gave a great example at our advisory committee meeting where one of our performance measures was the cost per gallon of wastewater treated. Seems like a reasonable number, right? But when you think about, well, he used the analogy when I was the operations manager, it was during a very wet couple years. And so, or actually it was the other way around, it was dry. And so fewer gallons divided by the same amount of dollars was a fairly big number. He comes on board, we have 2 very wet years, and you do the math, and it looks like we're managing the facility better. But we just we treated a ton of water that year, and the cost of treatment isn't linear. So anyway, just an example of a measure that seemed intuitive and seemed like something that would be meaningful, and it turned out it wasn't. You'll see now we're moving to this treatment effectiveness rate, which is more than permit compliance. What we're doing is we're establishing kind of a band of acceptable results from our monitoring and of our treatment works that's more stringent than strict regulatory compliance. And we think that tells us a better story of how well we're doing than just regulatory compliance. We want to be in that kind of that sweet spot all the time from an operating standpoint. Some of the emerging issues that we're looking at, we're going to need to be looking at the wholesale and retail considerations, considering now that we have a single WES entity. That's something that we'll be talking with our advisory committee about, as well as the board moving forward. Obviously, we want to understand what our needs are and have moderate rate adjustments. Now that we have the ability to really put together a long-term capital plan and have some certainty about how it's going to get funded, it's time to look at our SDC, our system development charges. So that's something that's going to be going to our advisory committee for consideration, and there will be likely a public process around that. But again, I think it's the fact that we are poised to develop a 5-year capital improvement plan and even a 20-year look speaks to the benefits of the West 190 entity. And then the other thing we're going to be doing is working with individual cities on inflow and infiltration issues. That's something that has been kind of off the radar since the districts were formed in the 70s and 80s. And we've just never developed a relationship with the cities that contribute wastewater to our facility as to how we're going to handle that. The issue is, do you build additional treatment capacity, or do you go after that flow in the collection system? I've said 9 times out of 10 it makes sense to go after it in the collection system rather than having WES build additional treatment capacity and chemicals, electricity, people to treat essentially groundwater and rainwater. So that's something that we hope to partner with the cities on to do what's best for the ratepayers. And then obviously growth, Happy Valley, I don't know if you saw the news, I'm sure Markley, fastest growing community in the state. So we're going to keep up, but it's always a challenge. So with that, I respectfully request that you consider approving our budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 7 of the budget document, WES labor under requirements, first line, $2,500,000 increase. I'm going to assume that's not 4 full-time people. I was curious as to what other expenses there are under that category.
If you're talking about West Labor there, it's a couple of things. We do budget the 4 new positions. That's quite a bit of it.
Okay.
Am I on? We also had a lot of underfilled positions and not filled positions this year, so the estimate for this year reflects that reality. You know, with the aging workforce, we have a lot of people who have been retiring, so we've had a lot of positions empty for longer than normal. So you're seeing the actual amount of labor money that we're going to spend, estimated for this year. So the next year, the number we're budgeting for 18-19 is a full number, if you will. We anticipate every chair full. We anticipate filling those 4 new positions right away, so it's the most conservative number you could have in there for labor.
At any given time, we're carrying about 5 vacancies.
Right.
That are just in the queue.
And I wanted to say thank you for the information where you're going for your recruitment and whatnot like that. I think CCC is a great place for it. Next line down is $55,000 lower. That's laboratory services. My experience has been that that's pretty unusual. So
well, and actually that's $55,000 period. It's going from 578 to 55,000.
You're right, actually.
Do
How
internal
are you,
stuff.
is that because you're doing it internally?
Yes.
Well,
It's one of the immediate benefits from combining everything into one district. The lab was its own cost center in previous cycles
gotcha.
of the budget, and so they would charge their services to whichever district needed it. Now that there's only one master to be served, if you will, there's no point in keeping the extra accounting necessary for keeping the lab separate. So it's rolled into the rest of the budget.
Repairs and maintenance is up about $1,110,000, and miscellaneous expenses up about $2 million. Just what's going on there?
Well, I would credit our asset management program and our implementation of this software called Lucity on the maintenance side. We are just really taking a hard look and identifying deferred maintenance and going after it. And now we have the engineering staff on board to support some of those projects. So I think it was low before. I don't think we were keeping up as well as we should have.
Two things. One, your Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, congratulations. That's always nice to see.
I have to mention Aaron Blue and Carla Atwood for that. They did all the work, and they're great.
And the last is appreciate the refinancing of the bonds to 2.2%. That's a great savings for the ratepayers. So I appreciate finance staying on top of that.
And I hope everybody knows by now that through that process, we are on the watch list. I don't think it's actually happened yet, but we have every reason to expect that Standard & Poor's is going to upgrade our rating from AA+ to AAA.
Which was good to hear. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Sure.
Paul was up next.
Martha's.
Martha was up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chair, may I ask a little bit of a reset? I'm sensing the time was changed, and it appears to me that some of our colleagues were a little surprised by that. And I'm wondering if we could go through again and do introductions for the folks who got the message, made an effort to get here, but kind of had to walk in. And we may want to, Greg, look a little, just a suggestion, Chair, get a suggestion where maybe we could briefly review at least some of the beginning things so they get a little up to speed, because we have to make sure, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not always respectful of people's time at all, and I don't do it intentionally, but I think that we have to be respectful of, with all due respect, these folks are volunteers and have spent a lot of time on this.
So
is
so
it
that's
okay with
fine,
that?
except to be respectful for my time, I need to go.
I know you do.
And I will come back. We have an executive session at 1.
Right.
And I
Thank
have
you,
to do
Chair.
an errand. And, but you did also say that the Budget Committee voted unanimously.
The advisory committee.
Oh, Advisory Committee.
Advisory
And so that
Committee.
wasn't you guys, or it is you guys.
Part of, yeah.
Part of
it
them,
is
part
us.
of them.
Well, I'm
So,
fine. I'm fine with that, and
is that
I'm
okay,
supportive of the
Chair?
budget.
I know you are, Chair. I know
So,
you are. So,
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll see you
Okay,
at the
no,
executive committee.
no worries, we'll see you at 1, Chair. Okay, okay, yeah.
Can we do introductions again really quickly, please?
Just real
Ron?
quick.
Ron Weigel, unincorporated Clackamas County Budget Committee member.
Paul Savas, Clackamas County Commissioner.
Christopher Bowker, citizen of Gladstone.
Ken Humberston, County Commission Vice Chair.
Markley Drake, City Council, Happy Valley, and Budget Committee member.
William Gifford, Oregon City, also Budget Committee member.
Brenda Perry from Westland, and I might add the last notice I had was 11:45 at the other building. So
Yes.
we've been running back and forth here. Yeah, which is a little frustrating to come in and find it all underway.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
That's
yeah.
okay. Martha Schrader, County Commissioner, and I apologize, just because I know that everyone on this commission respects your time and the hard work you guys put in, so just want to, I know that, I really do, so. Okay, Commissioner. Sonia Fisher, County Commissioner. Okay.
Don Krupp, County Administrator.
Diane Padilla, Budget Manager.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And for the members that walked in, you've been reviewing this budget. They've kind of gone through just the introduction, which is contained in the document. Do you want them to go through what they've already done, or is there any questions? I'm asking you, because I know there was a confusion on the room. Are you comfortable with just going forward, or what do you want to do?
I'm okay. I have a question, but
I've been through with a fine tooth comb and had separate session with Doug, so I'm good to go. Okay.
I agree. I felt very good with our previous meeting and going through this and the answers to some of the questions, so yeah.
Okay, so we can proceed. We have questions.
I think Paul was saying.
Yeah, well, I want to thank Martha for, she kind of captured some of the things I wanted to say as far as the late start. I know that most of these people, I know them well enough to know they would be here. And they're very punctual. So with that said, I think one thing I do want to go back to make sure everyone's fully aware and at least get on the record acknowledgement of, and that is the differential rates as a result of the right-of-way fees. You did capture it, Doug, but they weren't all here. And I think it's our best way to make sure that any right-of-way fees are fairly distributed to those cities in which indeed raise those fees, and not to cities like West Lynn who did not do that. So that burden is not being passed on to West Lynn, for example, what Oregon City may have implemented or what Gladstone implemented at a different rate. So I think our approach has been, I think, fair and equitable as possible, considering those actions not as a result of what we've done here, but again, by other jurisdictions. So if you could just retouch on that part, I think I'd be more comfortable that all city representatives here are aware of that.
Sure. We'll just go back to the rate adjustment slide. And again, 3.9% throughout, which is an inflationary adjustment for all of our rates.
Thank you.
In terms of the right-of-way fee, we've added an additional element to the total fee that each customer will pay each month, and it is in recognition of the right-of-way fee charged by several of our cities that we serve. Oregon City charges a 6% right-of-way fee, Gladstone charges a 5% right-of-way fee, and Happy Valley charges a 5% right-of-way fee. So we've added an appropriate amount to their rate to collect that money in order to pay the cities back, allowing the district to be held harmless through this process. The amounts differ for each city because what we collect in Oregon City is just a wholesale fee of it'll be what, $23. So they pay a 6% fee on $23. Gladstone pays a 5% fee on $23. And Happy Valley pays a 5% fee on the combination of the retail sanitary sewer in rate zone 2, which is $48.50, plus the surface water of $6.95. So their add-on is quite a bit larger. But and again, it's to hold the district harmless and pay that right-of-way fee.
Thank you. That covered what I wanted to be shared.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that subject?
I want to speak to it as well, but
Well,
go ahead.
No, ladies first. You had your first. I didn't want to have to change subjects and then get back to it.
No, and actually, I was aware of that, but there's some pushback on that. So what happens here? I mean, I know that there are moves to try and push back on this rate that you're charging, the surcharge. So what happens then? Because we are the only ones pretty much this is sitting there not charging this and getting, we're paying right away, I believe, to Oregon City anyway.
Neither Westland nor the unincorporated area pay anything towards any right-of-way fee.
Yeah, and we're certainly not proposing to change that in this budget.
Right.
And it would be something that the board would take up as a matter of policy. It's certainly not something that I'm anticipating proposing this year or next.
So where do you think it's going to go with this challenge that Oregon City's making?
I don't know.
And to clarify,
I will say that Oregon City has indicated that there's a legal challenge, and we would certainly respond accordingly and see how that plays out. We don't see where there's anything that's not perfectly legal in how we're approaching it now.
yeah, and to clarify, Oregon City is the only city that's challenging this. The other cities are not. Happy Valley is not, so.
So I have something else, but if you want to address that, that's fine.
If I could, please, and we did go over this subject, and I thought it was answered clearly in our previous meetings. The question that did not seem real clear to me is, though, when that money is collected, if the intent of that collection is to go to repay the right-of-way fee. What I didn't know was, does that go into a specific fund, or does that go into a general fund to be spent over the entire district?
It doesn't go, we don't touch it. We're a pass-through agency, if you will. We collect the money and then resubmit that to Oregon City, Gladstone, and Happy Valley.
Okay.
And
so
then they
the-
do with it as
So
they
the
will.
Oregon City residents that are paying that covers the right-of-way fee that they are charging?
Yes,
Okay.
right.
So I just had a question. Miscellaneous. I just really hate large sums of money into very soft titles. You know, a little clarification of where you're spending 1.25 million, it would be good.
That's page 7 again, right?
A big part of that is we're doing a clarifier cleaning project. It doesn't qualify as a capital project for a variety of reasons, so we're cleaning clarifiers, which is hugely expensive.
Actually, it's digester. But
Digester, okay. Same idea, large expense, not able to capitalize it.
Right, it's about $500,000, and those are projects that need to be done regularly. Frankly, we just entered into I don't know if it's on the streets or we awarded a contract to have those digesters cleaned out once every 5 years, so we don't get behind. And like I said, we tried every way to try to capitalize those dollars, but it's has to come out of our operating fund.
Yeah, I can understand why that doesn't come in as a fee rather than a miscellaneous, because I see a lot of money in miscellaneous over the years. You know,
Part of what we've done there is try to get everything on one page. So, I mean, there's a lot of detail behind each one of those line items, but this is an attempt to give a summary presentation of information on one page, so.
well, I understand that, and I understand, for this year, but I'm also looking back over the last few years of budgets. There's quite large monies that go into this miscellaneous. So I hear this year, but, we've got 2.25, almost 2, 1.5 million. This is a fair bit of money going in year by year into something that's not well defined. I would like to see some definition for this sort of money.
We can provide that, and we have that detail. If you'd like it, we can go provide some additional detail.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We can certainly have that developed and sent around.
Okay. Any other questions? Board? You have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
On page 37 for the accounting, or for the billing for next year, you're mentioning the resources to consider implementing the online payment system. So it's kind of a two-part. What are you anticipating the number of people that, or percentage of people that would be actually doing that? And then while you are considering that, would that be a 100% whatever goes online for the payment that the West would receive the full amount? Or is there would there be a processing fee associated with that?
I'm not quite clear which you're asking about there.
Well, on the third paragraph, Doug, where it says, resources to consider implementing a new online payment system on page 37.
Oh, well, we've implemented an upgrade to our billing system from Encode 9 to an Encode 10, so that's a bit of an ongoing effort. We're also looking at upgrading our assessment billing system, which is what we use to bill the North Clackamas revitalization area. The software needs a significant upgrade, so we're looking to do that kind of thing.
Okay, I guess I'm getting a little further down in the weeds then. I was thinking that it was residential.
Well, it is. It affects residential customers that pay, that are in the assessment area. But Encode 10 is our overall utility billing software, which bills roughly 20,000 accounts. And so we've upgraded that and continuing to work on that. So we're quite heavy on the software side in the finance group.
And I wish Carla was up here, but I think there was a major software upgrade,
Yeah.
and we went I think from 9 to it was a big jump.
It was huge.
And I can't remember how old the previous version was, but it was
The
quite
previous
long
version
in the
dated back over a decade with some patches and fixes to it. So it was time to make a leap into the next level of software there.
And anybody in my position in the public realm, those large software upgrades are pretty scary endeavors because you read about them in the paper once in a while. So I was pleased that we made it through there with minimal damage.
Minimal damage is
It works. The bills go out and they get paid, so it works. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, is there any member of the audience that wishes to talk? No? I don't think we have any public here. So I'll open and close the public hearing that fast, since there's no public members here that wish to speak. So if there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the budget.
I move that the committee approve the 2018-19 budget for Water Environment Services as presented and impose the maximum permanent tax rate within district boundaries.
I'll second on the proviso that that information comes forward. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
You can.
Just want to congratulate you not only on the work you've done to pull all three districts together, but also the fact that you're working with the budget committee in the civilian part of our budget committee in advance. I think that's helpful, and I want to commend you for doing that.
Yep, Doug did a great job.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment too?
Yes,
I
please.
want to just, hey, ditto, Ken. And I really have to tell you that you're really doing good work with an advisory board / committee that is going to be a very critical component as our collaborators as we move forward with all the issues that Wes has to deal with. Because, you know, I read The Ghost Walk, which I recommend for everybody, which was a history of the cholera epidemic in London, which transformed essentially public health sewer infrastructure. And it's the most critical public health thing that we all collaboratively do together, because without taking care of those things, people get sick and die. So anyway, thank you for that. The
Well, thank
Ghost
you.
Walk, read it.
Yeah, the ghost map.
Pardon me?
Ghost
Ghost
map.
map, sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
I just read it myself.
I just think about ghosts walking around as the issue, so thanks for
Yeah.
that correction. The Ghost Map, it's a great book,
It
isn't it?
is, it really
Yeah.
is. It's inspirational for
Yeah.
people in our industry. And I want to thank the board for supporting the advisory committee structure that we have. We've got a powerhouse of folks on there, and it's, I'm excited to be able to work with them, so.
Thank you, guys, you're great.
Any further comments, board? I'd like to offer a comment. I'm a professional budget analyst from Multnomah County. You've done an exceptional job here because you've had to combine districts and do all this. And it's very clear as you read through this what's going on. And it's very clear to the reader and to the public. So for your transparency, you've done a great job here. Fabulous job.
Thank you, Mark.
Carl and Aaron,
Yep.
they did it.
I appreciate it. Appreciate all the work that you've done. And I'd like to make one other comment. I would like to thank the Board of County Commissioners. This multiple districts has been problematic in the past, and I really want to thank you for taking the motion and the time to combine the districts, what I feel is to the benefit of all the residents in both districts. So thank you for doing that. It's really been helpful. Thank you. Any further discussion or comments? With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further business before this committee? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you.